Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. John Henry Soto here with you as always. This is a morning space for artists, filmmakers, musicians, and creators who are navigating the real world of making art. On this show, we talk about positivity, but not the fluffy kind. We talk about what actually stops artists from moving forward, the struggles we all face, and how to move through them with clarity and purpose. We'll also highlight good things happening in the industry, share ideas, suggestions, and practical advice, and most importantly, have honest conversations. This is a live show, so if you're here, feel free to ask questions or join in. This is a place to reset, get grounded, and start the day moving forward as an artist. And welcome in, everyone. I hope you're all doing well out there. It is Friday. We're getting ready for the weekend. It's going to be a nicer weekend, I think it's gonna be a little chillier, but not a little chilly, but not as bad as it's been here in Nashville, Tennessee. As some of you know, I've been talking about the ice storm that hit us here pretty hard. People are still out of power now. This was over a week now. People are going almost on 2 weeks. Whenever it happened, from that moment, that Sunday. So this Sunday, it'll be 2 weeks. This coming Sunday, and some people will still be out of power. And I don't confirm that on me because I'm not really 100% sure. But as of last that I heard yesterday, there were still people without power here in Nashville. So prayers to them and prayers to all those that are working, trying to get this thing back on the road. And they will, as always, very resilient humans are, right? So we'll make it happen. Hope you're all doing well out there. Today we're going to be diving in. I want to dive in because there's a lot to say on this subject, and I think it's one of those subjects that it gets spoken about in different ways, right? And we're talking about rejection, and we're talking about using rejection as fuel. And when you're an artist, one of the things that you first realize is that rejection is just part of it, right? I mean, you are going to have rejection, whether you are an amazing artist. At some point, someone is going to reject you. Elvis Presley said, "Don't." They told Elvis Presley, "Don't quit your day job." They told Fred Astaire, they said that he can't sing and that he can't act and that he can dance a little. This was on his review of his performance. Michael Jordan has failed numerous times, right? He's missed more shots than he's hit, of course, right? Um, and I have a quote here on Michael Jackson as well, which I'll say in a little bit. But so the rejection part of being an artist is very, very much in the forefront of our minds constantly. We're always thinking about it, right? Being rejected. But one of the things that when you start realizing that and you start actually creating at a level where you feel you're at the best and you feel like you're doing well and you're still rejected. And that really hurts because now you're kind of thinking like, man, I think I'm doing better. Why is this happening to me? Why am I still being rejected even though I feel like I'm doing better, right? Well, that's part of the challenge as an artist, right? It's not so much that you're doing better, it's just that you're always going to have that challenges. There are people out there who didn't like Michael Jackson at his peak, and you start thinking, how can you not like my I just don't like his music. Oh, and so this is Michael Jackson, right? Now, was he aware that people didn't? I don't think he really paid attention to it. I think he just created, right? And that's when you create at the highest level, when you really don't pay attention to those things, right? Rejection is one of the few experiences every creator, athlete, and entrepreneur shares. Yet, it's one of the most tempted to hide from, right? I mean, we just want to hide from it. We're taught to see no as a verdict instead of information, as an ending instead of a redirect. But when you strip it down, rejection is proof you showed up, you took a swing, and put something real into the world. That moment stings for sure, right? Because it does sting. It hurts you at your very core, but it also reveals where you're stretching beyond comfort. And that's where growth really and actually lives. That is where you grow as an artist. It's where you're actually under pressure and stressed and feeling it. Thank you so much for all the likes. I appreciate you over here. I see you and I love you for that. Thank you. It's very, very difficult to keep moving forward. Like Michael Jordan says, I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed, because he's willing to not only fail over and over and over again, but he's willing to keep going, keep continuing to make it happen. And that is where you use rejection as opposed to using it as something that suppresses you and keeps you from creating. You use it as fuel, right? And that's not a motivational poster. That's a blueprint. It's a blueprint. Every miss, every cut, every closed door sharpened his instincts, Michael Jordan, and his discipline. Rejection, and this is very important. Listen to me here when I say this. Rejection becomes data. Rejection becomes data. What is data? Data is information, right? So rejection becomes information. That's how you use it. So instead of having rejection become a, a stop, a barrier, a moment of depression, use it as information. See, that's the key thing. Every miss becomes that. Every closed door becomes becomes data. It showed Michael Jordan what to refine, what to outwork, and where the edge really was. Failure wasn't a wall, it was raw material. And that's what failure is. When you look at it and you take it and you observe failure and you look at what you've failed at and you look at it and you say, man, now I know what that is. And maybe I need to look at that again. Now, of course, you're going to have haters. Don't confuse a failure with haters. Haters are just really unhappy humans that want to destroy something because they have nothing else to do in their lives and they're empty, right? That's a hater. We're not talking about that. We're talking about failure, right? Now, if you have nothing but haters, well, maybe you want to go look at something. But if you have haters here and there, that's a good thing. You want to have that energy. You want to have both sides. You want to be able to look at things. So I'm not talking about haters. I'm talking about a failure. You put something out and nobody sees it. You spend all this time editing a video or in my case a film. If I'm editing one of my films, like my last film did really well. Well, the one before that didn't do that well, right? And maybe it was my fault. It was my fault because I didn't enter it as much into festivals and put it out there as much, right? And I still have content that I'm putting together, old films that I put together that still think have a life, have a second life. So I put them together. Now, were they failures? No, they were at the time, I thought, but today I'm looking at it like, you know what? It wasn't a failure. It's information. Like, what do I have to get better at? Where do I have to put this film at? Where do I have to showcase this film and not just think that this is a one-time thing and there it is, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh, they didn't enjoy it. All right, next. No, I still have that. I have it as raw material now. I'll look at that as that failure is not. I didn't fail as an artist. It's material of how I promoted that project. How I put that out there is very, very important. So we want to make sure that when we look at failure and then when we look at ourselves as artists or as just humans, that we're not looking at it to judge ourselves, on whether this is it for us. This is it. This is where I stand, because it's definitely not the case. Trust me on that. For creatives and builders, the real shift happens when rejection stops being personal and starts being practical. And that's the hardest thing for for artists to do, right? Because man, do we take it personal? I mean, I'll tell you right now, when something doesn't hit, I'm thinking, man. And sometimes I'll just be like, man, I'm not even gonna bother with this anymore. And that'll hit my head for a few seconds, and then I shake it off, and then I go back and I start realizing, okay, that was just a little bit of a rejection, or that failure was not, it doesn't encompass my whole career. It's just one constant thing that I have to look at and put into a corner, and stockpile all these rejections and all these failures, and be able to look at them. Because remember, if we have them here in front of our faces and it's just constantly around us and we feel that way, and we kind of keep dwelling on it, and we keep talking to our friends about it, and oh, this didn't work, it's failed, then we become that, and we go into a dark, dark place. But if we take it and we stockpile it and we say, okay, this didn't work, I'm going to put it over there. All right, this really failed, I'm going to put it over there. Well, this really, people really did not like this for some reason, I'm going to put it over there. And then you look at those things and you get information from that raw material of what we think is failure. And it's not failure. It is an extension. We are extending our create. We are extending our artistic, creative soul, and putting it out there. And then we bring it back and we look and we say, oh, okay, that didn't work. Put it back out there again. Why didn't it work? Let's refine this. Put it back out there again. Hey, that worked a little bit better. Let me refine this. Boom. Hey, that didn't work at all. Let me go back to this and refine this. Boom. Okay, that worked. Boom. Okay, that worked. Boom. Okay, that worked. You see, you go out as an artist, right? That's what we do. We extend ourselves, right? And some of us, we put ourselves spiritually and emotionally. We throw ourselves out into the world, and then we wait and we wait. We wait, and we start getting judged. And then the judgment becomes more painful. And then we go and we sit in it, right? I mean, that's what we do, right? And then we muster up enough energy to go to the next thing to try to create something again. But if we take all those rejections and all those failures and all those moments of uncertainty, and we put them into a pile and we look at them and we say, maybe I can do this better and I can change this. And then we continue to create. And you just focus on the art, just on the creating. Don't focus on what they're doing, on what they have, on how successful they are, or man, I should have done this back then, or I should have done that. If you just focus on what you're currently doing and get really good at that and building that, that's where success lies. That's where you can actually not only become successful you yourself, but you can also help others, because you can point that out and you can say to people, you know what, don't focus on that thing that happened to you. Focus on why it happened, right? And then pull from it the raw material of what had happened, refine it, and then put it back out there again. And you just keep throwing it out there. And that's where art really becomes powerful. It's when it just continues to go out and it continues to make the world a better place. And it continues to get people talking. And whether it's, sometimes I'll put up a quote, my own quote, I'll quote myself. I'll write something, right? I'll write a little blurb of something that I just thought about, right? And I know that this is going to have, I don't want to say triggered, because I think triggered has become a buzzword that's being used and abused now, right? And if you're trying to create art that doesn't trigger anybody, or if you're trying to live your life in a way that doesn't trigger anyone, you're just going to be a very quiet person that just gets angry a lot. And this is what happens to people, right? They just get angry a lot. But if you just say to yourself, okay, I'm going to write what I feel at the moment, I'm going to create what I feel at the moment, and I'm going to put it out there. And sometimes I know that people will have different views on this. I should hope so. It's the whole point, right? I mean, that's what life's about. It's about people having different viewpoints and coming together and working out, but in a peaceful way, working out their differences, right? And that, you know, that is one of the reasons why I put that out there. So I'll write that, you know, and I know that when it goes out there, there's a few people that I know are not going to like it, because I don't know, they just don't like happiness or something, or they don't like a viewpoint. They think that your viewpoint is wrong, so they're going to say something, and that's okay. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. The piece will get a lot of people talking. Now, was that Was that rejection? No, that was very successful. I got people talking and engaging, talking to one of them, and then some of them are mean to one another, and that's a that's their personal place where they are right now. They're not in a happy place, and they get triggered. Being triggered is a real thing. People get very it's a sad thing, but it's a real thing. They get very triggered and they become uh uh combative. They become insensitive. um and sometimes I can post something that maybe can be felt insensitive to some people, a minority, mind you, a minority. The majority of people, if you go around outside and you ask people certain questions about certain things that I'm not going to go into, but majority of people are going to say, yeah, that makes sense. And if you say, well, this person said that, or this person, but now if you say that this person that you hate is the one saying this, then that triggers something in their minds that they say, well, that must be wrong. And it doesn't matter what it is. Drinking water is good for you. Having clean water to drink is a good thing. Well, hold on. How do we know that drinking water is just good for you? How do we know? Who? But just because he said it, just because he said drinking water is good for you, now I need to believe it. I'm going to stop drinking water. How about that? And that's where mental illness comes in, right? People will do the opposite of someone that they just hate because it's just a mental illness, Um, so when you're operating as an artist and you have that coming at you, and if you're getting triggered by that, let me tell you right now, you are going to have one hell of a time. You're going to suffer. You're going to be in constant pain. You're going to be in constant battle with people. That's what's going to happen. And there's nothing more tragic than someone who's talented out there battling ghosts. And that's what they do. You're battling a ghost, man. It's nothing there. You're battling yourself. I mean, if you want to really, really confront a battle, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror, grind your teeth, and start battling the only person that can really, really defeat you right there in that reflection. But the mindset where you say, you don't ask what's wrong with me. You ask, what can I do with this? That's very important. What can I do with this? You take whatever it is that you actually built, you put it out there. It doesn't do well. Take it again and you say, what can I do with this? Maybe I can repackage it a different way. Maybe I can post it on a different platform. Maybe I can change it up a little bit. Maybe the wording of it, if it's a piece, if it's a written piece. If it's a video, maybe I can edit something. If it's a film, what can I do with this information? It's all information. And when you get that mindset, it turns setbacks into drafts, losses become lessons, and doubt becomes a drive. When rejection becomes fuel, it doesn't slow you down, it hardens you. And over time, that's the difference between people who quit at the first no and the ones who keep going until the yes has no choice but to show up. And that, my friends, is the key thing. Keep showing up. Keep showing up. No matter what, no matter the rejections, keep showing up and keep refining. When something gets rejected or something doesn't work, keep refining it. Keep trying to figure out, why didn't it work? What was it about this that didn't make the cut, but yet that did? Start looking at that very, very clearly and start doing it in a way that becomes part of your daily routine, where you're not feeling this rejection every day. You're feeling the understanding that this occurred to you, and now I'm going to use this material to see what can I do with it to make it better. How can I make it better? And that, my friends, is how you handle rejection. And let me tell you, if you are in the world, if you are on this planet right now and you have oxygen going in and out of your lungs, well, in of your lungs and then out is carbon monoxide. So if you have oxygen going into your lungs on a daily basis, you are going to deal with rejection. Doesn't matter where it's coming from. It can come from your spouse, your partners, your siblings, your parents, your children, your coworkers, your church members, your the guy at the grocery store, the acquaintances, your neighbors. You're going to run into at some point a rejection or something that makes you feel like you've been rejected. And that's when you have to really reach down and help and find that voice, find that why. I talk a lot about using the inner voice and being able to think in a quiet space when you feel you've reached the end, or you feel like, gosh, I can't go on anymore, or this is so exhausting. You have to find that place in you that started that in the first place, that got you excited to start. And you always go back to the why. Why do I do this? What was the first time that I got really excited doing it? You're a musician. It was the first chord, that first song that you heard, the first time your mother sang to you as a baby, as a child, you remember. All those moments become such important fodder for your future. And you have to hold on to them. If you can't find any right now, sit down in a quiet place, get yourself a cup of tea, get a nice scenery, get a nice, if you're fortunate enough to have a nice place with a fireplace, and sit there. I do this all the time. Grab a cup of coffee and I just look out the window and I'll look at my neighbors. I'll walk out onto my deck, my balcony, and I'll sit there, take a deep breath, look out and start contemplating like why you started to do the things that you do. And what brings you joy in life? What fulfills your soul? What's wrong? It's those moments that you have to hang on to, because when rejection hits you, you don't have a lot of stability, but you have that. And if you have that, that is your stability. That is what you can always go back to and be like, it's crappy right now, but this is why I do it. And this is why I love to do this. This is why I'm going to continue to do it. Get your tea or your coffee and you take another deep breath, you get back to work and you get back at it. You've got to find those moments, and you've got to find that thing that filled you at the beginning of your career, at the beginning of your life, that made you feel something special, that propelled you into the life you're in. That special moment is the fuel. When you have rejection, that special moment will squash it, will bring it down and turn it into more information you can look at later on. Because nothing can stop you if you have that moment. Find those moments and hold on to them and remember them. And that will get you to where you want to go. Because eventually, yes will show up. After all the no's are gone, you're going to get a lot of yeses. And when those yeses come, you have to be in a good mental frame of mind. Because it's going to be an exciting time where you're going to say to yourself, oh, I had all these rejections. It doesn't, hope is that, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The yeses will come. The yeses will come. I guarantee it. All right, friends. I want to thank you all for tuning in this morning. As always, I appreciate you all. You're all wonderful, and I appreciate you being here with me in the mornings. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other, because this is all we got. We got each other here on this little blue marble floating through space. And I'll see you all Sunday. Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday, so we're not going to have a show on Sunday night because it's very busy out there. We will have an older episode out there if you don't like football and you want to check out one of our classic episodes. 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch the John Henry Soto Share. or share, show. And on Monday morning, 7 a.m., I will be back here with you. All right, friends, thank you so much. God bless you. Take care of yourself, and I will see you soon. And as always,